The GuliKit Elves 2 Pro controller is a retro-inspired controller with that Sega Saturn feel, but for the Nintendo Switch 2. It's so rad! 8-bit joystick. I didn't know what to expect when GuliKit told me that they wanted to send me their top-of-the-line Elves 2 Pro controller to test and review. So it is a retro-shaped Sega Saturn and Sega Genesis inspired gamepad that uses state-of-the-art Bluetooth. It is designed to work with iOS, Android, Windows PCs, and Nintendo Switch, and I bet I could probably get it to work on my Mac Mini too. So granted, I haven't heard of this company before, but apparently they make really good replacement parts for Nintendo Switch Joy-Con repairs, and they're doing some good work. So the shape of the controller is inspired by the Japanese Sega Saturn controller, and the retro design is as well. The white body and the green, white, and yellow and gray buttons and the maroon highlights might not ring a bell in the West, but for you hardcore Japanese Sega Saturn fans out there, you know exactly what this is about. They also have a regular black design if you want to go with that. So the controller is a little bit on the compact side, but it is totally ergonomic and feels great in the hands. Apparently, it has HD rumble compatible rumble motors and a gyroscopic sensor that works with aim-based gameplay on the PC and that Nintendo Switch. On the right, there is a wonderful raised Sega Saturn floating D-pad that definitely harkens back to the best work of Sega. Playing fighting games with this bad boy is an absolute joy. The convex buttons are nice and big. They sit in a little concave thumb depression. And in the smack dab of the controller is the home button, the share button, and plus and minus, as well as a light up wireless button. On the top, there are these really good ergonomic curved buttons for playing yet more fighting games, but I had a darn good time playing Mario Kart World with them, and it was a joy to do drifts and lay the smackdown in 24-player online matches. Now, this sucker charges via a USB-C port on the top of the controller, and on the back is a 3-way toggle switch between Windows, iOS, Android, and Nintendo Switch. That lets you pair this with multiple doohickeys. So if you play your games cross-platform, this is a thing that has you covered. You know, I could load up some emulators on my phone and I could totally use this with that. And I could put it in PC mode and get it to work with my RetroPie. It also supports USB wired connectivity and firmware updates just by dragging a file onto the controller's drive. By using USB, I didn't even have to run any Windows program, which is a plus for me since I use a Mac. Now, it features a 170 Hz Bluetooth polling rate, which is the latest and greatest non-sucky version of Bluetooth. Now, I played this with my Nintendo Switch 2, and I did not notice any lag or connection problems, and it was an absolute breeze to sync up. On the front of the controller is 2 Hall Effect joysticks with a long lifespan design and 2,200 levels of high precision fun. Since it features Hall Effect joysticks, that means no stick drift ever. So the only drifting you'll be doing is on purpose, in Mario Kart World, of course. Now, they have a dedicated Bluetooth control software package on Windows for a ton of tweaks if you are into that kind of thing. This thing has a deliberately retro design, and I got a lot out of playing it with my Nintendo Switch, and I particularly liked how good it felt playing some good old Streets of Rage 2. So the Nintendo Switch 2 integration is A+ awesome. This thing is right up there with a Nintendo Switch 1 Pro controller. I had a really good time playing Super Mario Wonder and some Neo Geo games and some Neo Geo Pocket games on my good old Nintendo Switch 2. Now, I felt like testing it out with some Third Strike y'all in Street Fighter 3. And granted, it doesn't have 6 buttons in a row, but I'm not 10 anymore, and I can use the top of the controllers in Street Fighter. And I was able to do absolutely all the hardcore combos in Street Fighter 3, and I laid the smackdown on Chun-Li and Dudley. I even used it to serve up some drinks in the visual novel Valhalla. It's a little bit of overkill for this controller, but you can play your Nintendo Switch visual novels with a super ergonomic design.
So it's pretty cool to see Nintendo's choice to embrace USB and Bluetooth pay off, because this feels like a Nintendo Switch pad foremost, but with a flick of a switch and then you're there in PC and mobile device mode. This thing retails for $50 and it is a pretty darn good value for that. This was a total surprise, but it is a quite pleasant surprise. It is a pretty solid, well-built retro gamepad, but with a ton of modern, mature tech. It's solving a problem I didn't know that I had. I did not know that I had a Sega Saturn and Sega Genesis inspired controller gap with my Nintendo Switch 2 retro gaming, but the GuliKit Elves 2 Pro controller solved that game tape for me, and it is quite rad. Hey, thanks for watching. We make one or more awesome videos like this each week, so you should totally subscribe so you don't miss them. And if you like this video, it would really help out if you would hit the like button, and that tells YouTube that you thought it was awesome. This is 8-Bit Joystick. Stay awesome. Play retro.